to stand in solidarity with the cry for justice. And we're going to take a walk all the way down as we see persons assembling at the Square of the Revolution. And the crowd has multiplied in a matter of minutes. And we'll go down, we'll speak all along the Black Lives Matter mural.
Somebody gotta go down. Somebody gotta go down for this. Somebody gotta stop.
And we continue to go all the way along the mural, the persons lined all the way along. And for those persons who want to come and join, ensure you have your mask. You can come and stand in solidarity, as many persons have decided to come out this afternoon and stand in solidarity. As we get a sense of the amount of persons gathering here, we go all the way, all along the Square of the Revolution. And as we speak, more and more persons are pulling up. Right. So, as we see persons displaying their signs out here, all along, in their silent protests and standing in solidarity with the Black Lives Matter movement. We're going to go and try and get some comments from persons who have decided to come out today. And folks, this is just beginning. This is scheduled to start at 12. Now is a little after 10 minutes after 12. And we see the crowd of those persons who decided to come out early and be a part of this. Slowly gathering. More and more persons have decided to come out and stand. Right. Persons have brought their own placards. And they're standing in solidarity with the movement as persons call for justice. We're going to try and get a different vantage point so you can have a better idea of the numbers that have gathered in a few short minutes as persons come out to stand in support and lend their voice and their presence to the movement.
Where's what's your name?
Yeah. So if you're now joining us, the live today, we're doing a little different setup. We're out here at the Square of the Revolution, and we're trying to bring you a sense of what is happening out here as persons gather on the Black Lives Matter mural to protest silently their disapproval with the state of affairs, disapproval with the injustice meted out to persons. And we'll be here covering all that happens as we see persons,
better known as the Coffee Monument, as they have a silent protest out here this morning calling for justice for the young men. Several persons holding placards, women, men, young people out here today.
on the road and blocking the road.
I don't know where on.
When they step up the road and chop the police them.
I'm going to go in the crowd. So we can get a sense of what is happening. The number of persons gathering. We have about 3 rows of persons. How are you, MP? I'm here. Good. I'm cool. Hello. Hi. For those persons now joining, the live today is coming to you direct from the Black Lives Matter mural on the Square of the Revolution. Myself, Sher Duncan, we're out here. We see a number of MPs moving around, Sharon. Yeah. We're trying to get a sense to what's happening. It's a very quiet, orderly procession. Yeah. Yeah. No idea. We would have noted that over the weekend, call out all of the injustice that would have been happening over the last couple of days.
ACTA stands in sorrow with the relatives, villagers, and African Guyanese communities, and all well-minded citizens who share the grief that emanates from the callous race-driven murder and physical mutilation of Joel and Isaiah Henry. This reminiscence of past events. This reminiscence of past events in our history. In the post-environment, this is not the first such action. We refer to the murder of Orlando Jonas also of the Bodies area, Saturday the 5th of September 2020, mere days past. The current act appears to have been carried out by simply reenactment and report to the committed by several persons. From the level of the vicious, it would appear to be planned, and its method of execution and mutilation premeditated. The marking of X on the victims' bodies point to a new low in political race relation in the country. ACTA notes the political targeting of African Guyanese since the PPP administration came into office. We believe it is troubling and creates the condition for independent actors to engage in race political violence, planned or spontaneous. We do hope that the force will be allowed to conduct an independent investigation to bring to justice all those who were involved in this activity. The growing tension resulting from these murders must be addressed by conduct action that demonstrates adherence to the rule of law and its decree to justice. Our community awaits the completion of the investigation by the police. We are convinced and unshaken in our conviction that these murders are a result of the current political climate in our country. In the context of increasing racial animosity against African Guyanese, ACTA calls on our people to be vigilant and to take all legal and law to protect themselves and community. ACTA condemns most strongly the murders of Orlando Jonas, Joel and Isaiah Henry, and demand justice by the prosecution of those responsible for this political crime. We call on the Ethnic Relations Commission. We call on the Ethnic Relations Commission, whose constitutional mandate compels this entity to engage and work for racial harmony and justice to act now. Black Lives Matter.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. That is Sister Clementine Marshall of the ACTA, the African Cultural Association this morning. Let me see if we can talk to Winnie.
Here, Representative
Hi, Winter, just a quick comment. Why is it
ACTA, as she read the statement coming directly out of ACTA and then calling, of course, for justice?
This is now coming home to roost in a real way. And therefore, I think that our leaders need to get together. This is not the time to say this is the time for our national leaders on all of the political divides to stand together with the people. And that's why I think it's important that I am out here today. I have 4 nephews and they're all black. And I want to make sure that this doesn't ever happen in our country.
okay, thanks a lot. We're going to try to talk to a few other persons, some of the people holding the placards, to get their understanding. How are you doing? We see you out here, Black Mothers for Black Babies. What does this all mean for you coming out here today?
This means a lot to me. This hurts so bad because I am a mother of 3. I have a 16-year-old son. Seeing this, it grieves the heart so much, it's like you can't even sleep at night. So I'm here for justice. Justice for the innocent.
All right, and your name?
Natasha.
Natasha. And Natasha, where are you from?
I'm from Diamond.
From Diamond. Okay, thanks a lot.
So this is a mother from Diamond here.
We're going to talk to some of the other ladies holding placards. Coconuts and her displaying a sign to passing traffic. How are you doing? We see you out here today with your placard. Why does this mean, what does this mean to you, being out here?
I have a
All right, we understand. This woman tearful as she's recounting that she has a son. Can't speak to us right now. We totally understand the emotions that are involved today. We're gonna just head up the line and talk to a few other people. Rudy, careful.
Black Lives Matter. And this is coming from Jenny Ferrer. Well, my service was terminated, but this wouldn't stop me because they start something and I hope they can finish it.
To not be behind the scenes, but to be on the ground today. The first major activity for Black Lives Matter.
Several things.
That we really
Good afternoon.
no punctuation is needed. Black Lives Matter.
One is that here it is, we have a heinous crime that is committed. And there seems to be a blackout from the Commissioner of Police. We would like to ensure that the Commissioner of Police, that they update the public and the parents as to what is happening with these investigations. We heard that persons were held in connection, and unlike in other cases, we don't see the names of these persons or anything in the national newspaper or on the media. Everything is a silence, everything is a blackout. We also know that there are some people who want to turn this thing into a race thing. This is not about race. This is about two young boys who went to steal coconuts, as they claim, allegedly. And they were brutally murdered. Brutally murdered. Their back was broken, we heard, fingers were severed, and so on. Are we calling on the administration to ensure that there is transparency in the investigation of this matter, and ensure that people are not criminalized for expressing their feelings? We're saying today, remove the police, remove the military from the villages, and allow people to protest and express themselves in a manner that they see fit. We're not asking them to block roads and all of that, but they must understand that this goes deep, very, very deep. And so for many of us, we are hurt. We are hurt as a people. And if the powers of be can understand that, and so the statement out here today is to show that this is not a Barbies thing, this is not a village number 3 or number 4 thing, this is a Guyanese thing. This is where people, I don't know about people, but the hurt that you feel about this matter is unexplainable. It's unexplainable. Words fail you to express how you feel as a woman, how you feel about these two young men being brutally murdered. And then the authorities want to use strong-arm tactics, and it's not going to work. We are hurt. We don't want to have to march from Georgetown to Barbies or Barbies to Georgetown to make a statement. We in Georgetown, we are making a statement here, and we are saying to the commissioner, we are saying to Mr. Ali, who was sworn in as president, that there must be transparency in this matter. We must know what transpired in the last moments of these boys' lives, and we don't want no poo-poo charges.
We want to ensure that when the time comes that those charges are laid based on evidence, and that we must be able to have a fair trial on this matter. Justice must prevail.
Thank you very much. That is Chairman of the People's National Congress, Walter Lawrence, a former Member of Parliament, a former Minister of Health out here joining support for several people. Here's another group. There are many groups like this along the stretch just outside the monument known as the Coffee Monument. Ray, quickly, you are a young playwright, a young black man. What brought you out here today?
I think it's just the kind of just felt it because, you know, from the time when I wake up the next morning, I went inside and went in the bathroom and looked at my chest because it said you had a hole in his chest. And I was like, yo, this could happen to me. And I don't want to grow up in this world, and I don't want, you know, the future generation to grow up in this world. So that's pretty much why I came out here, basically.
Okay.
It's just terrible.
I see Mr. Ray Wiltshire here.
At this point in time, do you think that the police reaction and so on is called for? How will you feel about what has happened so far?
No, I don't think so, because the police need to do, the police need to fucking listen. Like this, the fucking police need to do, the police can go and fucking people after.
And it's pretty much the atmosphere out here. People are emotional about what happened as they join together, calling for justice for these two young men who were killed. Yeah, that's his name. How are you doing, ladies? You're out here. Why is this so important for you? You don't want to. Can I? Nothing from these two ladies, and this is pretty much, a lot of people are emotional about what has happened so far. Many of the women we try to talk to are, their eyes are tear-filled. A couple of emotional outbursts. This is pretty much the crowd that is stretching all the way from home stretch right down to the St. Sidwell Primary School. I think that's Durban Street. We can probably go up, yeah. Let's already take some shots here. Some of the cards that are out here call for justice for the Henry boys, Black Lives Matter, stop killing our black men, respect black people, we are not animals, justice for the Henry boys. There's another one that's reciting a whole poem, I Cry. We talk the city with this one. This one here.
This one here? This one here?
Right here. We're just coming for a quick word from you. Why was it so important for you to be out here and reading your placard?
Yeah,
nothing at all?
Yeah.
Yes, dear. I have a reason to be out here. I have grandsons. I have nephews. I have nieces. A lot, great nieces and great nephews.
And I won't like for one day this must befall me. You understand? And those babies that they took their lives there, it's not worth it. But 2 coconuts, come on. Like our coconuts is dropping, stretch and rotten. And it's more in the water than in the pistol. So I have a right. I have a right to be out here because it's not about race, it's about life. Life matters. Life matters when it comes to children. Yes.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
There we had it, one of the women. Black power is black love. Several people holding placards. You want to just come around this way so that we can get up. All right. We saw scores of people out here today. This is Durban Grant. People are obviously driven not by only the crime and what they've seen, but the call for justice.
That's correct. We want the residents, the citizens, and the communities of West Coast Berbice.
Yeah.
Please over here. All right. We want the citizens, residents, and communities of West Coast Berbice to know that the citizens of Georgetown stands in solidarity with you. We equally feel your pain. We equally wish to see a comprehensive and deliberate investigation into the brutal and sadistic murder of Joel and Isaiah Henry. We wish all Guyanese to join us in this quest. We want all to know that while this is a cause championing the interests of the black community, that what we saw over the weekend was the taking of the innocence of this nation. We're young people that should have the right to live a full life. Lives were taken away in a very sadistic and brutal way, and it should not be. So we urge all Guyanese, especially those of the black community, to come out and stand in solidarity with the people of West Coast Berbice, with the Henry family, so that justice must be done. We call on the Commissioner of Police and the Guyana Police Force to ensure that a thorough and comprehensive investigation is done with no tainted hands and political involvement to ensure that justice is done.
Is this just a one-day activity or something that you plan to continue at different points in time?
It should be continuous, it should be ongoing, and it should be based on good outcomes when justice is done.
The majority of people out here are women who are mothers, some of them almost too emotional to talk. What do you tell to other mothers out there watching this?
Well, I don't know if there's anything I can tell anyone because the pain is deep and the pain is raw. And the pain that all mothers feel, all Guyanese feel. And I believe that the pain must call us to action. Fighting wars behind Facebook, fighting wars by whispering will not bring change. You need to be constructive in how you're going to channel your energies positively to ensure constructive in how you're going to channel your energies positively to ensure change comes about, especially when it comes to justice for the murders of the Henry cousins.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. And we have Shanika.
Henry cousins.
All right. Yeah, Shanika, are you surprised by the number of people that are out here today?
Yes and no. Reason being, I would imagine that this town should have been shut down for people to come out here because as anybody who, you have a child, whether it be boy or girl, for 1 second, I don't want to comprehend or even imagine the pain that those families are feeling today. And for anybody who has relatives, I mean, whether you have birthed a child or not, these children were killed in a gruesome manner. The fact that they had to lose their life at all is one thing, but the way they lost their lives is a whole different thing. And for that, I would have farms. We have farms. Those children, one of the mothers talked about them having land with all sorts of fruits. So to just imagine that, it's one thing. But I'm shocked on the other hand because today I see a different demographic picking up this fight. Not just women, but young people understanding what this means for them. When you look at the persons out here, they are mostly youth. And I am surprised but happy because sometimes when you go on Facebook prior to all of this, you feel, as a young person, I feel a bit daunted. But today, I feel proud of what I'm seeing here, that young people are stepping up today to say that this, we will not take it anymore. Black Lives Matter, the matter of those Henry boys, it is important for every single one of us. The Jonas guy who died, Orlando Jonas, his life matter, and every other person that we may have overlooked during this period that was killed in a gruesome way, in those very ways. This is the time we say no more. That is what this is about. Us saying that we will not take this any longer. It is time young people stand up. It is time mothers stand up. It is time fathers stand up. Because this is what I will call the limit. It ends now. Justice for the Henry brothers. Justice for Jonas and every other black youth.
Thank you so much. Tanika Haynes also talking to us there, and German Grants, two of the seemingly organizers for this thing. Let me just spray this. Two of the organizers of this silent protest today. Several people out here, placards calling for justice for the lives of the two young men who were brutally murdered. Several of the people out here are women who are mothers, women who have nephews, cousins, brothers, all out here in support of this call for justice. This venue is the Square of the Revolution. It is the iconic coffee square, and most persons out here have donned their blacks, either t-shirt or other form of black clothing as they call for justice.
Disruption. Persons are silently standing, bearing their placards with their messages of justice. Right? We're going to continue to bring you the images. Right? Those persons who have just joined us. Those persons who have not just joined us, we are out at the Square of the Revolution, covering, of course, the protest, the peaceful protest out here. As scores of persons descend on the Square of the Revolution with the message that they're standing in solidarity. Many of them who would have taken their lunch hour to come out here and lend support. I hear the chant starting up.
Black Lives Matter! Black Lives Matter!
So I'm really glad that all of us are here today to really show support and solidarity. I want to make a public call, but also to let our black brothers and sisters know that your lives matter. and that we stand with you, no matter where you live, whether it's Berbice, Georgetown, Sophia, Essequibo, Linden. We all stand with you, and our lives matter. And this is a season, but we all gonna get through it sooner or later. Thanks.
MP Amansa Watson, how are you? So you're standing in solidarity today. Your general thoughts?
My thoughts are, there are so many thoughts going through my head. You know, I'm here today first as a mother, and as a mother of 2 teenage boys. My heart has been so heavy for the last 2 days. Because, make no mistake, Randy, this is bigger than politics, it is bigger than party. This is a national issue. And so I had to come out to stand in solidarity, not as an MP for the APNUFC, but as a Guyanese and as a mother. Because I want to say that when you're not a student of history and you do not understand the past, you're condemned to repeat it.
Yeah.
And those of us who are students of history know, we know that these things never end well. And so for those people who may be sitting in the comfort of their homes and who may be of the view that this does not concern them, I want to remind them that all will be involved and all will be consumed. This is not only about Black Lives Matter, this is about the future of our country. And so it pained my heart to see over the last few days the very irresponsible statements by some Guyanese who find some macabre joy and satisfaction in what has happened. I want to say that they are foolish to think that this will not consume them. This never ends well, and as Guyanese, we are at a crossroads. And we have enough examples in history to say to us, this does not end well. Doesn't matter whether you're Afro-Guyanese, whether you are Indo-Guyanese. It does not end well. And so, not because it doesn't affect you today, it means that it will not affect you tomorrow. So for those who are sitting in their houses and are finding temporary comfort from this, if you fail to speak up when wrong is done, it will touch you one day. History has shown us that time and time and time again, that all are involved and all are consumed. And so it is incumbent on every right-thinking Guyanese to be out here and to be condemning what happened to those 2 youngsters. I have 2 teenage sons. And so for me, it's personal. Because I do not want my children growing up in a Guyana where it is not safe to go pick fruits from a fruit tree. And so I want to encourage all right-thinking Guyanese, irrespective of whichever side of the political divide we find ourselves, to speak up against this atrocity, to speak up against injustice. I have a difficulty, Randy, with the fact that up to now, we do not know the names of the suspects. I have a difficulty with that. And so we have to recognize that people have a right to protest. They have a right to peaceful protest. It is a cornerstone of democracy, and we are going to be okay until all and sundry get the message that Black Lives Matter, that the lives of these two young men, they mattered, and they will continue to matter until the perpetrators are brought to justice. And so we're out here.
Right, I know it's difficult to hear as the crowd ramps up their chants, but thank you, Amanza, for those words. And we hope that you continue to speak up.
We are here, Chris, and we will continue to represent the interests of all Guyanese.
Right.
Not just Afro-Guyanese, but all Guyanese, because Guyana is for all Guyanese.
Thank you.
Not just some.
Thank you. We have another MP will come when the crowd is down to speak to Ms. Globespan, as you know, the chants is hard to hear, but we'll speak to you in a little bit. Right, we continue, the crowd has ramped up their chants.
No peace! No peace!
And so it's a little hard to do the interviews, but we're going to continue to bring you Alright, so as we continue to go through the crowd, we continue to bring you the footage and the images out here as the entire Black Lives Movement mural is filled with persons shouting, "We need justice, Black Lives Matter." Yes. Got you. As more and more persons come out, Those persons who are now joining the live, we are out here on the Square of the Revolution, of course, bringing you all of the images. As you can see, the crowd assembled behind me, shouting "No justice, no peace" as the persons from Georgetown come out this midday and protest. We heard comments from a number of persons as to why they're out here, standing in solidarity with those persons who are protesting and making their voices heard. Of course, over the weekend we saw the gruesome murders of 3 young men from Berbice and the ensuing violence and the protest, not necessarily violence, but last night, of course, we understood that the army and the police used rubber bullets and tear gas to disperse protesters. A number of persons were shot. Persons were trapped in their houses, suffering from smoke inhalation with the tear gas. So today, a number of persons have descended on the Square of the Revolution, on the Black Lives Matter mural, making their voices heard. Hundreds, scores of persons, as you can see behind me, shouting now, "No justice, no peace, Black Lives Matter." As we continue to bring you the information, we continue to bring you all of what is happening out here.